the pop culture field. And you
Want me to start?
Take it.
Wah, 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 wah. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Pop Culture Field Manual. It's good to be back with you. We hope you've had a wonderful insert time period here. It's sitting right at the intersection of military action, weapons, and pop culture. It's good to be back, folks. I'm Wright, one of your hosts, former Green Beret. With me, as always, the inevitable
Dobro Plasalavat. Hello, my name is Cameron Fath.
Wow.
I just Googled that, and it means welcome in Russian.
Nice.
Unfortunately, we're not supporters. We're unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately. Fortunately.
Right. Yes.
Let me take that back.
You know what? Let's just get this out of the way now. We didn't plan for the Russian episode to be coming out at the time when current events are such as they are.
It's very poor timing.
Cameron, you can speak for yourself. I will speak for myself. I'm full support of Ukraine, Slava Ukraine.
Yep.
Russia needs to get out of there right now. I don't hate Russians personally. I just don't like what's going on over in Ukraine right now.
Exactly. Unfortunately, the Russian citizen doesn't have the most say and freedom in their
I've
personal
seen the protest
choices.
videos. Yeah.
Yeah, this is nuts. So, our condolences to, the Russians having to deal with what's going on, and no hate towards the common Russian citizen.
Right.
But we are, as a team here, I think in unison, in full support of, Ukraine defending themselves and sticking it to the Poot.
Right.
But with that being said, this episode has been in the works for a while.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as you said, the timing is kind of.
We could talk about Russians and popular culture without it being a direct reference to current world events. This podcast has always been meant to be like more of a lighthearted take, and we're not a political podcast. Obviously, we're regular people, which means we have political opinions, but we try to keep them generally off of the podcast, just so hey, it's because you can get that literally anywhere else.
Yeah, just Google it. Yeah, we're not a bunch of Ben Shapiros here or whatever.
Pod Save America.
Yeah, we're not that. We're here to kind of bring joy instead of, bring a lot of diverse opinions and whatnot. But glory to Ukraine. We are we are in full support of you, and we will keep sending you as many javelins as you need.
Yes.
And keep using them the way you've been.
Yeah,
all right, folks. Well, with that being said, welcome to the Pop Culture Field Manual Podcast, sitting right at the intersection of weapons, action, the military, and pop culture. As today, you probably guessed that this episode is all about Russkies.
The Russkies. The comrades.
So similar to the Nazi episode.
Yeah, we're kind of doing a deep dive in one direction.
One direction.
One group.
It is all about Russians and how in pop culture, they are always the bad guy.
Yeah.
And it's ironic.
Yeah.
Because they seem to, based off the current time period.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Russians less so than Nazis, right?
Yes.
Because there's a lot of examples in pop culture of the Russians actually being the good guys. And which is really weird because, that kind of, where do we get that from? Because historically speaking, Russian as the government and stuff like that, not always, on our side. They were kind of friends of convenience in World War II, because I think Hitler actually they signed a non-aggression pact, and then Hitler turned on them and started attacking them, and then the Russians what are you doing? I guess we're American friends now, because they all talk like that. But so it's a little more. There's a little more give and take when it comes to Russians being portrayed in movies. Sometimes they're the bad guys, and sometimes they're not. Good guys. Yeah.
And sometimes they're very large-bodied mercenaries.
That's right. Sometimes they're blonde-haired, blue-eyed Ivan Drago from Rocky.
Exactly.
And sometimes they're the what is it? Alan Cumming, I'm invincible from GoldenEye.
Or sometimes they are standing in between the U.S.'s conqueror of the hockey world. So we beat the Russians
in Miracle. Yeah,
in
that's
Miracle.
Right.
Yeah, they're standing in the way of glory.
I feel less so. The 80s was a time when I was if there was a bad guy, probably a Russian. And and they've done that since then, but I think less so after the Cold War ended. We found new bad guys,
more pertinent threats. Because let's be honest here, the Cold War never ended.
The Cold War never ended.
Never ended. It's all been a data. It's all been cyber.
We're seeing the
cyber
fruits
warfare.
Of that these days.
Yeah, but yes, the Russians had influence in the 2014 elections.
Oh,
yeah. Bots,
Russian
people.
bots,
The name of the game is bots. But so when you find
But
the
this isn't a
enemies.
political
This isn't a
podcast.
political podcast. But anyways, combo intro.
Yes.
Cue. When you find the enemy's dirty ass boots.
No,
I'm
this is-
sorry,
you're
I'm in the
looking
wrong
at the
outline.
Russian, man.
Sorry,
You're
that's-
looking at the invasions.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's a different episode. But
yeah,
Chris cut this out.
but timely.
But timely it is. Very timely. Okay. We're just going to go ahead and talk about some very famous movies that have to do with all about the motherland.
Yep.
Yep. And we're going to
Got
talk
some
about
video games here. I
Got
got
some
some
video games
comic
here.
references and stuff. Which one do you want to do first, man? Looking at the list, what do you think?
So
I'm about ready to go way back, but you.
yeah,
just,
you honestly.
I don't want to lose people right away.
You do it anyways all the
Yes,
time.
all the
So go ahead. You might as
Okay.
well lose them now.
Let's just do it. I'm gonna get this. Well, let's go popular but old. Red Dawn, 1984.
Okay.
Red Dawn, classic. movie.
Wolverines.
Wolverines. You'll be hearing that again.
You will
very
be hearing.
soon.
'Cause
About
some of these
7
have very
days from
common
now.
themes.
Yeah, there's a little crossover.
Yeah.
Russian invasion. Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen. So fictional America. America gets invaded by the Russians and the Cubans.
The Cubans.
Two countries, obviously very Cold War era.
It is because you have the the Cuban Missile Crisis with the spread of the Communist Manifesto with
Yep.
the current dictator in Cuba. I
Exactly.
thought it would be a good idea to go ahead and parachute jump airborne op into the United States.
Colorado. This takes place in Colorado. Giant airborne operation in the beginning during like a football game or whatever.
Yeah.
And Patrick Swayze, Charlie Sheen, all the other kids, they get out of town. Then they basically become freedom fighters.
Yeah, initially.
And what's his name? The Air Force pilot. What's his name? Curly
All that
Bill.
hate's gonna
Curly
burn you
Bill.
up, son.
I know. Yeah.
Keeps me warm. That's one of the most iconic quotes.
Yeah.
You know, when I was in Ranger Regiment, movies were like, quoting movies was like a very common pastime. Is that
Sounds
people
like my
just
kind of place.
throw, yeah, no, you would have done very well. At least in my platoon. It was like my team leader and a lot of dudes on there were just movie obsessed dudes. And they would throw movie quotes at each other. It almost became a game. Name that movie actor who said it, year and whatnot. But yeah, Red Dawn was a very common spoke movie in my Ranger days, and that's just because obviously the Swayze man.
Swayze
We're
man.
not talking about the remake
No.
of Red Dawn.
Not the completely mediocre, bordering on horrible remake of with Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, and it's just Koreans. It's just North Koreans.
It's just North Korea.
Yeah, it's not.
And they just attack like the western part of the
Yeah, no,
United
the
States.
PNW, they literally attacked the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's probably not the most strategic place to attack because
But it's the closest.
it's really close to the coast. And I don't know, Washington used to, unfortunately, they just passed a very controversial weapons magazine ban. So you can't own more than 10 rounds of
so
Washington
North
now.
Korea, take notes. It might be a good idea, actually.
No,
Yeah.
not anymore. Don't comply, folks. Never comply.
I lost him in a boating accident.
Yeah, lost him in a boating accident. It's my favorite. Remember that we got a question. We got a question from a patriot not a while back, and his question was, "What is your least favorite government agency, and why is it the ATF?" So, read into that how you will, but
Bottom
don't
during
comply.
Freedom Week, folks.
Yeah, bottom during Freedom Week.
But this
Yep.
is not a political podcast.
This is not a political podcast. Anyway, yeah, Red Dawn is an awesome movie, man. I think it shows, obviously since, what was the first, 9/11 was the last major attack on U.S. soil.
Right.
That was, catastrophic.
I don't think we've never been invaded.
We've had attacks, Pearl Harbor,
had
9/11,
Pearl Harbor,
but, since we've never had a major conflict besides the American
Yeah,
Revolution.
no ground war or anything
Yeah,
like that.
it was us fighting each
Civil
other.
War,
Yeah, Civil War was
stuff.
us fighting each other, and that was in, what, the 1800s?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
It's a wild, Red Dawn was real gritty.
it was
Like
great.
it wasn't like the remake was like a sanitized version, and stuff. But
PC and shit.
Yeah, it was real gritty and real kind of like loss of innocence and like the twisting of these kids into like warriors, like hardened warriors, like unfeeling warriors, and really cool. Yeah, freedom fighter, and then the Wolverines, the famous line, the
Yeah.
Wolverines.
I
Which was
love Red Dawn.
that was the mascot from the high school they went to.
Yes, of course. Yeah, but that movie is super awesome. I would like to think it's a foreshadow for what would happen if U.S. got invaded. Like high school kids would just stack bodies with Kalashnikovs.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't last that long. There wouldn't be like an occupation. There'd be the invasion and then the counter attack, and then that would be over.
Yeah, I don't think it would last long because
Except California.
Yeah,
We get totally overrun.
Yeah, totally, because everybody would run.
Yeah. Nobody owned guns here. Yeah.
Nope. But I think the thing that makes potential invaders keep them up at night is the fact that there are more guns in the United States than people. There's enough guns on record. That's just on known.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, firearms known about to arm every man, woman, and child in the United States.
Yeah.
So, take that and
You have enough ammo,
smoke it.
too? I know there's an ammo shortage going on right now.
Oh no! And you know what? When you're out of ammo, use your gun as a club.
That's right. Just
Yep.
turn it around.
Use it.
You're good.
Butt stroke people. That's that thing. It's called butt stroking.
Oh, yeah. Butt stroking.
I
Knock
actually
them in the
learned. Yeah, I've always done barrel checks. So like spearing people with the barrel.
I never learned. I never learned officially how to barrel check somebody.
Yeah. So I first time I ever was exposed to butt stroke was when we got activated in the Los Angeles riots for the National Guard. It's like, if they come and give you trouble, butt stroke them.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't want to stroke their butts.
You literally didn't know what that was?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was like,
that's
I knew exactly what it was, but I was just like, why call it a butt stroke?
butt stroke.
Yeah, we're gonna butt stroke these protesters so fucking hard. Let's
feel
stroke
like-
shit out of their butts.
I feel like anybody who's ever watched a movie knows what a butt stroke is, because it's the one weakness of a good guy. Because every scene when the good guy gets captured, they have him on the ground, and then it's the camera shot.
And then someone comes over and butt strokes him, and it's blacked out.
Instantly knocked out. No
Yeah.
matter who you are, you get instantly knocked out by butt stroke.
Yeah, dude, that hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, I don't think it would knock me out. I'd just be like,
Yeah, and you'd be like disoriented, but you wouldn't
Yeah.
like get knocked out.
like I've rung my bell pretty hard before on like you're walking, you turn around really fast and you
Yeah.
hit like a shelf or something with your
Yeah.
head, and you're like, son of
and
a.
you don't see it coming.
You don't even see
That's
it coming.
The worst part.
Yeah, but like a butt stroke, I feel like would be way harder.
Yeah.
And tears fall.
clenching.
Yeah, if you were clenching, but you see it coming, it's like, and not if they hit you in the teeth, they knock out all your teeth or whatnot. But anyways, this is not an episode about butt stroking, or this is not a political episode.
This is not a political episode. What do you think, man? What's next? That's good. Red Dawn, amazing.
Honestly, can you?
Anyone
This
you
is. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. That happens
okay.
all the time.
Let me talk about this really quick.
Yeah, you
because
talk
we don't
about
have to
it.
take
I know
a lot
you're-
of time. 1997, the movie Russkies. It stars Joaquin Phoenix. Whip Hubley plays the Russian dude. But like A Christmas Story is Peter Billingsley, so the little kid, he's in it. Whip Hubley was also in Top Gun. But anyway, it's basically about a Russian soldier who jumps off of his ship. I don't know where he's at, because it's like he instantly makes it to America. Like he jumps off his ship and he like swims or gets like a little thing, and he washes up on shore, and some kids find him, and the kids like kind of hide him, and it's like this kind of very like heartwarming, like what I hope the Russians love their children to, like coming together, love, like we're all the same underneath, kind of thing. And so they befriend him and they kind of keep him a secret, and they take him out on the town, they have a good time, and then eventually he has to, like, it becomes an international incident, so he has to return, and the final scene is on like a submarine. A Russian submarine shows up, and the Americans show up, and there's like a standoff, and he's like, no, I will go back to my country, and there's this heartfelt goodbye, and he hugs them and stuff, and he's like, so he's like, I will kill you here in my heart, and it's very funny. It's very 80s, but it's very like Cold War, like, hey, listen, we can all be friends at the end, and which turned out not to be true. But fun movie, Russkies, 1987. If you like the 80s movies, go check it out.
Yeah, 80s movies have a very special place. I haven't seen that movie. I'll put it on my list.
It is, yeah. Very long.
That's
list.
good. It's really hard to like even boil down to a couple movies that like are just about Russians. It's always, Russians
Right.
as bad guys.
Right.
I think the only movie that I can think off the top of my head is one we've covered in the past, is Enemy at the Gates.
Yeah,
which is an
times.
American film about Russians.
Yeah,
as
Russian
the good
sniper,
guys.
Vasily Zaitsev, like a very famous sniper. Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's the only one that I can really think of where like Russians are the good guys.
Yeah, it's like it's a movie about Russians, and it is, because a lot of these other ones I'm looking at, you're right, they're either the bad guys or they're like maybe the good guys, or or whatever, but they're in it, but it's not. Oh, Chernobyl! I got Chernobyl down on the list.
Oh, you do?
In the television section. Chernobyl, great miniseries about the Chernobyl incident back in the 80s with the nuclear power plant.
Yeah, I mean that's super famous.
Super, yeah.
Super famous. Chernobyl's kind of like, it's one of those eerie ones, because there used to be a movie that was like filmed similar to Cloverfield. Do you know what I'm
the
talking about?
Chernobyl
The
Diaries?
Chernobyl Diaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's like a monster movie.
It's like a monster movie with like all the mutated people from like the thing, and it's kind of like Hills Have Eyes, but first person view.
Yep.
Yeah, that one was mediocre, but hey, it's there.
It's hard to do.
It exists.
Chernobyl's a great series. If you have access to HBO and you haven't seen it,
What's it about?
It's about the incident at Chernobyl in the early 1980s.
Shit.
You know, it was a legit meltdown. Like, it almost fully melted down. Like, and I didn't even know this. Like, you watch the series, like, it could have been world-ending, like worldwide disaster.
Really?
It would have destroyed. It's actually in Ukraine, actually. Chernobyl's in Ukraine, and it would have just destroyed the world. Like, it could have blown up. Like, the fact that what had happened, and how it happened was, and how they had to scramble to like take. You've not seen it?
No.
Oh, dude, you gotta see it, dude. Put that at the top of your list. I'm telling you, you won't regret it.
It's a long list.
It's a 6-part mini series on HBO.
Okay.
But it's basically about that and what they had to do to try to because once it melted down, that was just the beginning of the crisis. You know, and all the most of the people in the town, like the night it happened, most of those people were done for.
Really?
You know, yeah, a lot of them died of radiation poisoning.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Because they just blew up, and the dudes.
And not to mention the ones that didn't die were just permanently fucked from the radiation,
Yeah.
and their kids are fucked, and their kids are fucked.
Yeah, and some of them were, but yeah, a lot of them were. But for example, one of the things that happens is the core melts, and it creates this. They call it the elephant's foot. It's this giant molten core of uranium, I think it was, or whatever.
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, I don't do mathing, but it was melting, but it was actually melting into the earth, or it was going to melt into the earth, and they had this giant reservoir of water underneath, and if it would have hit that, it would have superheated the water instantly and made this just massive explosion. So They had to dig underneath it. They got all these miners, these Ukrainian miners, to dig underneath that and put a giant concrete slab to kind of catch the the thing. But before that, they had to get some dudes in order to drain out all of the water that they had been using to kind of put the fire out. It had all accumulated underneath the plant, and if that's what they had to drain that first. Because otherwise it was going to hit it. That was the water, actually. But they had to get some dudes, and they had to go in in the dark. They had to have with maps, and they had to feel their way out and turn on all the valves to drain the water away. Otherwise, that would have caused a massive explosion. It's
Jesus
crazy,
Christ! There's a lot of things you didn't know, but I thought Chernobyl was just everybody ran away because there was a big thing, and I think that's the last thing that they did with it.
Dude,
the caution taped it off, and it's just stay away from there.
Yeah, no, dude, and it's and it'll never be. There's parts of that place that will never be inhabitable by humans, and it's still a big problem today. The big point of the series was the arrogance of kind of the communist government at the time, where it wasn't just one thing that went wrong. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong because it was this it'll never happen here. Oh, we're fine. It was bureaucracy. It was a bunch of stuff that caused the setup of this, and then that's what caused it to happen, because it was this whole thing where it had not been fully operational, and they were supposed to do these tests, and they've been putting off this one test for a year and a half, and it was still running. So they had to do this thing, and they weren't really supposed to do it, but they decided to do it really late at night. It was just after a shift change, so the guys there were fairly new. They were the B team crew, and it was all this kind of cascading effects that ended up causing this just almost worldwide disaster. Because if it had really blown up, it would have Russia, most of Russia would have been uninhabitable, and then the nuclear fallout would have drifted over to other parts of the world. It was almost horribly bad. And this didn't come out until a long time later, because at the time Russia was very closed off, and they wouldn't tell anybody about it, so nobody knew about this until a long time later.
Jesus.
So it was crazy, man. Chernobyl, really good series.
On the topic of Russians here, what's it's very interesting how in pop culture that a very common theme that seems to be redone a lot, regardless of Russian being the enemies, are movies about Russian sleeper cells, and how Angelina Jolie's Salt. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't. No,
you haven't seen Salt. So she's
the Americans, the television show that's about Russians living in the United States.
Yeah, and they're it's Winter Soldier, where how he's ends up fighting for Cobra, or I'm sorry, not Cobra, G.I. Joe, Hydra, Cobra, Hydra. They're both beasts.
Yep.
But and it's the Russian scientists programmed him to be activated by specific words, and in Salt, So Angelina Jolie becomes a CIA officer. She swore an oath of duty, honor, and country. I'm reading this from the wiki because it's been a while since I've seen this movie, but it popped in my head. But when a defector accuses her of being a Russian spy, Salt's oath is to put to the test. Now a fugitive, Salt must use every skill gained from years of training experience to evade capture. But the more she tries to prove her innocence, the more guilty she seems. So like this, basically, she works for the CIA, and they get this one dude, and he's like in an interrogation room, and he's like a Russian, and he's like, "You're a Russian too," and she's like, "What the fuck are you talking about, bro?" And then like he's like, "I'll prove it," and then she's like. Obviously, the CIA is like, well, if you're like an undercover agent, like we're going to arrest you. So she's trying to avoid the CIA that she works for. And as she goes along, she slowly starts to figure out that, yes, she is a sleeper.
She is?
Yeah, she is. And like she was raised in Russia to like do this. And she infiltrated the CIA and they just wiped her memory completely.
Oh, wow.
And like, yeah, it's a lot of action packed. Actually, you know, it's kind of a mediocre movie. It only got 61% on Rotten Tomatoes. But that's Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, that's in alignment with I played on stream Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
Yes,
Cold War, and the main surprise in that storyline is you play this character named Bell the whole time, and they talk about like what you went through together, and you're like, we have a long career. Turns out it was all a lie. You're actually a Russian dude that they brainwashed with MK Ultra to be a double agent, and this only gets revealed at the very end, like right before the final mission.
Every time, you know, we talk about Cold War and you talk about MK Ultra, for some reason, I think you're talking about Michelob Ultra, the beer.
Michelob Ultra.
Yeah, Michelob Ultra. So every time you're like, yeah, they brainwashed him with MK Ultra, and I'm like, damn, that's a lot of beer, friend.
They just got him really drunk.
Really drunk. They're like, yeah, you're actually. I'm like, oh yeah, America, the greatest country in the world.
Now come fight with us, yeah, and stay drunk. You gotta keep drunk.
Keep
him drunk.
drinking them, yeah. This is special juice.
MK Ultra,
Michelob Ultra. But yeah, Salt's. I thought it was an entertaining movie. I mean, if you're trying to get inspired by something, this is not the type of movie that you like will go out of your way to watch, but I think it's pretty entertaining, and Angelina Jolie's a great actress.
Well, now, can I tell you about this one? I don't think you've seen it, but speaking of like...
There's a lot of movies on this list that you put here, and I'm just like, I've never seen this.
I remember seeing this just like through happenstance, but the 2018 movie Red Sparrow with Jennifer Lawrence and Joel Edgerton, it's really good. It's a legit spy thriller. Which there aren't too many of those around. Like Salt ends up being kind of an action movie. There's some mystery to it, but this one's a legitimate dramatic thriller. There's not a lot of action at all, really. Really not at all. But it's Jennifer Lawrence. She's a young ballerina. Dominika Egrova is recruited to the Sparrow School. It's a Russian intelligence service where she is forced to use her body as a weapon. Her first mission, targeting a CIA agent, threatens to unravel the security of both nations. So like she, in order to help her family out and stuff, joins the secret Sparrow organization where they train them to be spies, but also to use their bodies and to be seductive. They train them, all that kind of stuff. And she like has a natural ability for it, but she also hates what she's doing. So she actually, through the course of the event, she ends up like kind of helping. Joel Edgerton is the CIA spy, who's already been in Russia and embedded and stuff, and she goes after him, but then they end up kind of working together to kind of turn everything around. And at the very end, she ends up like going back to Russia, but she's actually a double agent now. She's actually going to feed like information to the CIA and stuff like that. Jesus. So it's a really good movie. There's a lot to it. It's Jennifer Lawrence is a good actor. It's a pretty hardcore movie. There's some hardcore stuff that they do to her, but it's really good. It's a really, we talk about strong female characters. That's a good example of it because she doesn't, it's not Atomic Blonde where she like beats every bit up. She uses her body and her femininity and stuff like that to actually seduce and control men and stuff like that. So not that that's morally right. I mean, it is a good example of using her femininity. Don't be a Russian spy is what I'm saying.
Exactly. I want to talk about kind of shifting directions here as to why Russians are always portrayed as a very hard people. Like, I mean, looking at them historically, their living conditions have never been great. I mean, if you want to think about like what made Russians such an ideal villainous character, even though, we've never engaged them in full combat like we did with the Nazis, right? We fought them spearheaded. We fought the Nazis with the Russians. Right. We never actually went to war against Russia like boots on ground, just, a standoff essentially.
Cold War.
Cold War. So like what made, Russians almost the ideal bad guy? I think it's just because they are culturally so different from American. Like I think America is very fortunate.
We are.
We
got a lot
extremely
going on for
fortunate.
us.
And I don't think there's a lot compared to Russia of the rough and tough type of people.
Yeah.
But when you look at Russians, everybody is the rough and tough type
They're
of person.
a hardy people.
They're
I
a hardy
think.
people, and that's because they literally live close to an ice cap.
Right.
They're like, what is the statistic for their country is inhabitable?
Oh, yeah, a very small portion.
Yeah,
'cause
only a
most
very
like-
small portion of Russia is actually livable.
Yeah.
Not to mention the government. Like, what is comfortable in Russia? Like we think
20
about like
degrees.
the average. We think about like the average person in the United States. What is their income?
Oh, income. You're talking
Yeah.
about economically, yeah.
Yeah, economically, like what is it? Like probably like what? I would say
Well, the median income for the United States, the median income is $95,000.
95,000.
That's
Right?
the median across everybody.
Yeah, everyone.
Big and small, it all kind of evens out to about 95,000.
Okay, which is definitely livable.
You can correct me on that too. I just
Yeah, come on.
literally made
Throw
that
them
up.
at us. What's the median?
I saw it to say I don't know where I saw it from. Though.
I think the point I'm making, Israel, is that in America, a lot of people are very well off, and like comfortability is like we
even
have like
even some
we
of the
have
more poor
four-bedroom-
portions
Yeah, it's like
are actually still well off.
yeah,
compared
it's
to-
like you have multiple bedrooms in your house.
Yeah.
and you have a house.
yeah.
and
I'm
it's like,
considered low income, and like I've pretty much
You got an
I mean, look at
apartment.
that 70-inch TV.
yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah. And I think about then you look at Russia and you're like, well, what's their definition of comfortable?
Yeah.
A cinder block apartment that 60 people live above you and 60 people live below you. And it's like I think that's why these people are so fucking tough.
Yeah,
You know,
there's like
there's
you
a
always
reason
hear
why
that, the
vodka is
toughness,
so popular.
The vodka, yeah.
Yeah. It's 'cause
I
they need
think it
to-
might be the language, because when you talk like this all the time, you have to be a hardy people. You're talking. They're over there talking in English with Russian accents. This is how I imagine them to be
Yeah.
talking?
Yeah, but I think that's why they make the ultimate bad guy. Because I mean, just looking at examples in pop culture, Ivan Drago from Rocky.
Yep.
That
His
dude-
girlfriend at the time, Bridget Nielsen. She was like, she got the flat top.
Yeah,
She's like his.
they're
commanding
tough-looking
girlfriend.
people.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what also is a really good one that just popped in my head? Fuck, I forgot. What's the Netflix series about chess? Queen's Gambit.
Queen's Gambit. Is she
Queen's
Russian?
Gambit. No, but she goes to Russia. The Russians have the best chess players in the world.
Yeah.
So like she goes to Russia and she's like an alcoholic, a fucking mess. She
Yeah.
like grew up in an orphanage and learned to play chess with like the janitor and stuff. But she like
okay.
obviously has like
I haven't-
alcoholic.
that's one I haven't
It's
seen.
a really good series. Like
Alright, cool.
you think like you're like how the fucking chess be exciting? And then
Is it?
Yeah, no, it is. When
Oh,
you're
okay.
watching it, it's like these people are so intelligent. They're literally thinking like 30 steps ahead. Like when they make a move, they're not like, "Well, I make a move." And then what are they gonna? How are they gonna counter it? It's like I expect them to move their piece 8 times in this specific pattern, and if they interrupt that pattern, I have a different strategy of all
Oh
moves.
my
It's like
gosh.
looking at the Queen's Gambit is awesome, but
Yeah.
the Russians have the best chess players in the world, so they end up getting invited. Nobody's ever beaten them, and then she ends up getting invited over to Russia and like becomes like a commodity, and all the Russians are like, "Yeah!" But yeah, dude, I like that series a lot. But it's like they have hard characters like that, like very like hard in stature,
Stoic.
extremely stoic people, just because they've been through so much struggle. And I'm not saying I'm pro-Russian here, but I think
we're trying to, culturally speaking, we're trying to figure
Decipher
out why do like much like we did with the Nazi episode, like why the Russian in pop culture, what is that, and why is it so popular?
Yeah.
What did you think about Black Widow? Did you see Black Widow?
I would have a lot of theories about it if I've seen it. Actually, that's funny you mention it because it's on Disney Plus now.
Yeah.
And I finished Cruella the other day. Honestly, loved it.
All
really
right.
cool. I didn't watch Black Widow. It was
okay.
too late at night, and I was gonna start it because I was like, oh, finally it's available. What'd you think of Black Widow?
I mean, I thought it was okay. I thought it should have come out instead of Captain Marvel coming out in between Infinity War and Endgame. It should have been Black Widow, because
Really?
because the whole movie, how her life ends up. You know that she's dead, and not that. And well, for me, it took something away from the movie, like because this is like her story. This is her story, right? Black Widow, and it starts off actually in the 90s, I think, or something, and she's in America with her family, and her family, they're all spies.
Yeah.
It's Sheriff Hopper from Stranger Things, and Rachel Weisz, from Enemy at the Gates, and they're their mom and dad, and then she has a younger sister who turns out to be her younger Florence Pugh. There you go. But anyway, and it's them like escaping, like they have to get out there. They've been found out, and so the father comes and he's like, "We have to go right now." And so they go to. It's cool because they go to like a little out of the way airport, and like there's a giant thing in the way, and like you don't know anything about her father yet, but he's the Red Star or whatever. He's like the Captain America for Russia.
Oh, really?
And so he goes to this giant trailer and he just flips it out of the way, and you're like, "Whoa!" And you turn out he's like a super soldier too.
Oh, really? So Russian had their own like super soldier, and he just went into hiding, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but then after the Cold War, they kind of brushed him aside, and they find him in prison. They like bring him out of prison. But like it's there's some good fun and good action and stuff like that. But it's just too little, too late,
Yeah.
And I think it was, and then they do the whole thing where Disney and Star Wars and stuff, where basically the movie or the show exists in order to be a vehicle for a spinoff. Like Florence Pugh, she's going to be in other stuff, And it's just, I don't know. It's just kind of like, I don't know, just
day
kind of
late and a dollar short.
Day late and a dollar short. That would be Black Widow 2021 with Scarlett Johansson. That's my assessment. So anyway.
How'd they portray the Russians, though? Do you think they portrayed them accurately? Because do they portray them in like a positive light or
no?
a negative
Generally negative, because they go to Russia and all the bad guys are Russian. Because the idea, the big like mystery is like she's not the only Black Widow, but the way that she went to like a special
part of like
school.
A syndicate
they
of
call
Black
them
Widows?
The Black Widows. It's the Russian secret agents basically, and then she defects to the United States. But they have a new way of making Black Widows where it's like a pheromone thing that they ingest them, like they brainwash them basically. They're all brainwashed.
Yeah.
And the main guy who's in charge of it is like this very shadowy figure that they thought they had killed, but it turns out he's still alive. And so Florence Pugh kind of gets knocked out of this somehow. She wakes up and then she recruits Scarlett Johansson to help her like bust all these women out, because all these women are all slaves basically. And so they have to find a way to cure them and kind of free them from this guy's like the chemical thing that he has them under. So that's kind of the main thing. So
I think Black Widow is the worst Marvel character.
Oh, really?
I think
worse than Hawkeye?
Yes, because at least Hawkeye like
shoots arrows.
She just does, and he does kung fu.
Amy is in utter disbelief right
Black
now.
Widow's and it's not because she's a woman. It's just kung fu. Really, you're on a team with Captain America. Like Iron Man is a regular guy, but he's got like a suit of iron that can do anything. Suit. She literally just has 2 fists and a leather suit.
And a gun.
And a gun.
And electrical
So does like 99% of the United States. It's like, I don't think there's anything special of her. I don't know how she didn't die on the invasion. Because like you got kung fu, that's it.
Right.
Like I think she just pales in comparison.
It's tough. It's tough for them, like her and Hawkeye in like the first Avengers and stuff. Like it was hard to give them something to do that wasn't like.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're even
epic,
Avengers. You know, and she's not like a scientist either.
Well, that's why I liked Winter Soldier, and then what should have been her standout performance in Black Widow. But like they have to put her in a context where she's actually useful. Winter Soldier, she's a spy. She uses like seduction and subterfuge and stuff. Like her power is that she's cunning.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to paint her not as an Avenger, but it's kind of like how Samuel Jackson's character in Avengers,
Nick Fury,
doesn't do shit. He just is there, and then the Avengers go and do stuff. And you know how like Iron Man's best friend, which in Spider-Man is Aunt May's boyfriend.
Yeah,
you know how he doesn't.
Happy.
Yeah, Happy. You know how he's just like a dude who's just around, but he doesn't do any of the fighting.
Yeah,
I think that's exactly where Black Widow belongs.
That's Black Widow. Huh?
Yeah, because like kung fu, like Happy punches people too. Yeah, he
Jon Favreau was a boxer.
Yeah, so I was just like, okay, I think that's where she should be an enabler for the Avengers. But should she fight alongside the Avengers against aliens? Absolutely not. I think she's a liability.
Well, you got your wish, Cameron, because she's dead now.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Amy hates you forever.
That's okay, Amy. Pick a better superhero. Maybe go to DC.
I am more of a DC fan.
Amy
than
is more
I
of a
am
DC fan.
Marvel, but I've wanted to cosplay Black Widow since I first saw her in Iron Man 2.
Hey, and that's still a worthy goal, Amy. You're still
It
gonna
is.
you're still gonna do it.
I don't know.
Sorry to disappoint Amy.
Don't let Cameron just dissuade you.
I'm not. It's your life.
Did you ever see Love, Death, and Robots?
Yes.
Remember
Which
the
episode
Secret War?
specifically?
The Secret War with the Russians. It's the last
been a
one
while.
in season 1 where they are basically doing like a deep scouting mission into the deep mountains because they heard about like some villages getting attacked, and it's like really gory. It's like people's body parts getting ripped apart and stuff.
Is it like live action or is it
It's animated.
Okay.
Yeah, it's animated, and it's and basically it's about this small troop of Russians, and they find out that there was this Nazi occult ceremony that happened that released these demons from hell, and there's this one nest, and they have to basically blow it up.
That's
but
cool.
they have to sacrifice themselves.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, Secret
That sounds
War,
cool.
really fun, real quick. It's like 12 minutes long, you know.
Yeah.
And stuff, so.
Real quick, Russian character based off a real person. Did you watch The King's Man?
Yes, I did. Rasputin.
Rasputin. His character
yes.
freaked me the fuck out.
He was a creepy character, especially when he heals his leg.
Yeah, and he's like, I thought that was really
yeah.
weird. I
Yeah.
honestly hated that movie.
I
thought
liked
it was.
it.
You did? I stopped watching it after
I'd had
that.
a gummy before I watched it, so I need to watch it again to get an objective opinion. But
Dude, no, it was. I thought it was weird. Like the whole licking of the wound. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
It's
and
like
he actually heals his leg, which is so funny because I'm sure they needed to have that happen. I don't know why they wrote that he got an injury and then to have it be healed, because
Yeah.
obviously he's the main character and he needs to like do the action and stuff. But like,
yeah. I don't know. I didn't like that. It's I thought the Kingsmen were way better than the King's Man.
I liked the Kingsman, the first one.
Yeah.
I never saw the second one. I actually liked the Kingsman. I
Did
thought
you?
it was a fresh take on it. Ray Fiennes, I've told this story like 1,000 times. He is a physical specimen. He came into my gym once and did a workout, and he killed it. So
Really?
I believe him as an action hero because I've seen him work out, and he's
Okay.
in like his 60s.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just back to Rasputin. That dude.
Rasputin.
is a weird character. I mean, he did a good job, but I thought that licking of the wound scene was super uncomfortable, and I was
Yeah.
just like, why is this in here? My fiance was in the other room, and she's like, are you watching gay porn? Because the sounds, because he's like, he's like, and the guy's like, oh, and it's like 2 minutes long.
Yeah,
and it's like,
it
come
just keeps
on,
going, yeah.
dude. Come
And
on.
he eats like the cake thing. He
Yeah.
eats like the whole thing and like.
Oh, and then he throws, and he's like, yeah. But Rasputin was a real character. He was an actual shaman that influenced the Russian
Yeah,
government.
apparently, yeah. And he
or at
had
least the monarchy.
the legendary, he got stabbed. He
Yeah,
got
he's been
shot,
stopped,
he got
poisoned,
he's,
everything. He could not
hung.
die.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder how he did that. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, the Kingsman killed him. They drowned him.
Oh yeah, they did. That's exactly how, based off a true story.
Based on actual events.
Okay.
What do you think, man? Oh, let's talk about some characters. Zangief.
Zangief, explain.
Zangief from Street Fighter.
Street Fighter.
He's the big Russian. He is the stereotypical Russian meathead guy, upon which all other stereotypical Russian meathead guys are based.
Of course.
But there's also, I forget his name. I didn't play Tekken a lot, but there's a guy in Tekken he looks like Ivan Drago on multiple steroids.
Oh, with
you
the
know?
really big hair.
Yeah, the big giant. He's a robot,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
But he was created in Russia and stuff. Which I feel like, yeah. But I think that actually, we talk about like culturally, like why Russians and stuff. But like, it does seem like the Cold War era. You look at, to them, it always seemed like bigger was better. Literally, the worst line that has ever been written. Pacific Rim 2, there's a Russian girl, a Russian pilot, and she says, bigger is better. She literally says bigger is better, and she means it, and it's the stupidest line ever. But we're not going to talk about Pacific Rim 2. But you look at weapon comparisons, like you look at our version of something and then their version of something. Their version of something is usually
huge.
always bigger. Yeah. It's
And
just bigger.
to exemplify that, you go to Team Fortress 2, the Heavy.
The Heavy in T4
He has a fucking giant minigun.
Yeah.
And not to mention, he is the biggest dude there.
Yep.
So it's like everything is big. Yeah.
Yep.
That's interesting. That's
and
fun.
Colossus from X-Men.
Colossus from X-Men, huge dude, giant
Yeah.
muscles. There's never a Russian guy that's like precise and really just agile
Yeah,
and rapid.
there's no waif Russians in pop culture.
no, it's
except for Alan Cummings' character, the I'm invincible guy.
Invincible.
From GoldenEye, yep.
But that's funny, man. And
Yeah.
then finally, Victor Reznov from Black Ops 1.
Yes, Victor Reznov. Oh, the numbers, Mason.
The numbers.
Reznov, so great. Yes.
Yeah.
It turns out he wasn't there the whole time.
All that-
Spoilers.
All that
folks.
Michelob Ultra.
All the Michelob Ultra. We worked on, and you were thinking you were seeing Victor Reznov.
Yeah, no,
What
it's
if they
just
combine
beer
Victor
goggles.
Reznov and then Cold War, where you're a Russian who thinks he's an American, and you're hallucinating Victor Reznov
Yeah,
the whole
geez.
time.
Damn. Talk about Inception.
Oh my God.
Beerception.
Beerception. What do you think, man? Anything else? You want to jump to the game? You want to?
Let's go straight to the game. Unless you got a question?
I don't have a question.
You don't have a question?
Because I'm looking at this episode now and I'm like, oh, there's a blank space where the question is supposed to be. Let me ask you this, Cameron.
Okay.
What would you today it's April. Oh no, it's
Don't take this podcast.
yeah, okay. We're in 2022 right now.
Yes.
Early 2022. Don't take the podcast.
Don't date it.
This is not a political podcast. No. What do you, in 5 years? Where do you want all this stuff to be? We got the podcast. We got Shift Fire. We got all. What do you think you want to be doing?
World domination.
World domination. Good.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Simple.
Establish a
I
hierarchy.
like your humble goals.
Establish your hierarchy.
Yeah.
You are my vice president.
Yeah.
Amy is the secretary of treasury.
I'm humble, so I will accept that.
Yep. No, but that's a good question, man. I think I'm a firm believer in setting very achievable goals. I believe that people that dream big, although admirable, almost shoot themselves in the foot because it is harder to achieve a dream than it is to achieve a goal. So I think it's very positive and the word I'm looking for is big, and I cannot think of it right now. I'm a college student. I am a college student. It's admirable. No, that's not. Let's think of synonyms here. Anyways, establishing short-term goals, right? I think placing very not easily achieved goals, but challenging goals
Right.
in mind that can be achieved with work, it gives you a big positive affirmation. So instead of thinking like, yeah, we want to be the biggest podcast, we want to be bigger than Joe Rogan and all that things.
Right.
That's a dream, right?
Right.
But I definitely just want to see steady growth of this.
Yeah.
I want for Shift Fire, I think, that's going awesome.
Yeah.
So I don't really have every goal that I've set for Shift Fire has been crushed already. So I definitely, want to continue doing this stuff. I want to, change the game, man.
Hey.
I want to change the game. I want to change the perception of special operations veterans, and add a lighthearted, fun side to it. Just because I feel like right now, I feel like we find ourselves in a very specific place that not a lot of people have done, and not a lot of people exist today.
Yep.
It's when I think of special operations veterans, especially on social media or on the interwebs, you think of like David Goggins, you think of Jocko, you think of all these guys that are very motivational, very inspiring, and they're very hard work ethic, which is exactly what they were made in special operations, right? I think that's done a lot, and I'm not saying it's bad because people need that motivation and people need that drive, and perception from, a person that's been through a lot and, is a tough motherfucker.
Yeah,
but I think there's a lighthearted side to it, especially because, just because you're in an elite unit doesn't mean you don't have time for fun.
Right.
And that's where I spent a lot of my time doing. I wasn't, obviously you can tell I wasn't a hard charger. Well, I was a hard, okay. I love the military. I was a hard charger, right? I loved it. I think it's more of a work hard, play hard thing.
Sure.
And it's just like that professional mindset is a skill that you are able to turn on and turn off.
Yeah.
So when it's downtime, it's like we don't always have to be hard motherfuckers. We can have fun with each other. We can be personable. We can, make each other laugh. We can, just have a good time. But then when we work, we work. So that's something that personally I love doing is flipping on the switch. When it's go time, it's go time.
Yeah.
But when it's not, it's like, okay, let's do some lighthearted stuff. Let's not all be serious all the time. So I kind of want to change that dynamic. And that I would say that's my goal. In 5 years, I want to open up a space where, special operation veterans, military veterans, and civilians can just kind of come together and just be approachable.
Yeah.
Is that a good answer?
That's a great answer, man. I would expect. That was perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. That's cool, man.
What about you, man?
For
Let me hit you
me,
with it.
I want us, let's say 5 years from now, I want our brand, who we are, and everything you just described. Like, I think we get that a lot of feedback from people in comment section and stuff. They're like, you guys, how you guys do this? You guys are so great. I love listening to you guys. I love the I love the joking, and stuff. How we are naturally in our rapport. I want that brand to grow bigger to the point where we can start doing all those kind of dreamlike things. Like, I want to travel and I want to take this elsewhere. Like, I want to go and try out, the Malaysian sniper school. I want to go out and try the Norwegian mountain ranger school, or whatever, the reconnaissance school. I want to go and do those things and showcase that stuff as us just going out there so that we can have both of what you described. We can have the serious hardcore training, the eliteness of it all, and then also that lighthearted kind of take on all that kind of stuff, I like so yeah, I think we're perfectly positioned. We're right at the intersection. We're at a lot of different intersections, but we are at a perfect intersection, and I think a really good time, because what we're tapping into now, I think, is not something that's really been tapped into before.
No.
So
First and foremost, I think I just came up with a little easier to explain thing. I want to know more in 5 years than I did in Ranger Regiment. I don't want to almost live in this identity. I read something the other day from a guy that was in regiment. I was like, oh, that's a pretty good saying. He's like, what exactly? I want to say it perfectly.
It's really inspirational.
It's really inspirational. I just want to say it perfectly because I have an idea of what he said. It's like, being a ranger is not who I am, but a job I had.
Right.
So I don't want to like live in the past and live off my thing. I don't want to just, almost act like Ranger Regiment was the pinnacle of my life.
Yeah.
I want to just make it as a stepping stone to what I'm going to go into. So I don't want to be like, yeah, when I was in Ranger Regiment, I knew the most. I was the most fit. I was at the top of everything.
Yeah.
I want that to almost be a stepping stone and continue to grow and develop. So,
Me too.
And with this brand, I just want to be able to go do things and learn more things. And it's funny because the things I knew in Regiment, in all actuality, are going to be completely obsolete in about 10 years.
Yeah.
So, just based off how the world goes. So continue learn. It's going to be a journey.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
That's I want that for me. I will always be a Green Beret in a very real way.
Yeah.
You and I will. You'll always be a Ranger. I'll always be a Green Beret. That is the key that has opened up the door to this journey that we're on. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to continue to live in the past.
No, we can't revert.
Yeah, because that's not what a Green Beret and a Ranger would do.
No.
We continue to train. We improvise. We adapt. We overcome. We continue to adapt and stuff. That's part and parcel of the elite nature of the special operations community.
Yeah, man.
So
I don't want to be the guy who lets himself go and then just sits in the Ranger Facebook page and talks about the good old days.
Yes.
I want the good old days to be today.
Today. Always.
Exactly.
It's always the good old days.
Good transition.
Nice
man.
transition.
Good
into...
question.
Good. Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah,
Good
awesome.
answer.
You're awesome.
You're awesome.
Great. Let's play a game.
Let's play a game. All right, Cam. This is the game. This is the game that I came up with, and it's really just called Real or Fake. I think we played something like this before. I'm going to give you the synopsis of a movie, and you're going to tell me if it's a real movie or fake movie. And
did I invent this game?
Did you? I don't know if Chris came up with it or
I don't know. Chris.
We did.
Chris
real
isn't
or
the
porn.
mastermind here.
Yeah.
I am the mastermind. No, Chris is awesome. Was it like I read you out a plot of a movie? And
Yeah.
I invented this.
Oh, okay. So this is it.
Don't let Chris take all the credit. I invented
Chris
this.
has been stealing our thunder for years.
Yeah.
Even though we've known him for less than a year.
Yeah.
We
He's
love
the
Chris.
glue that keeps these cracks together.
That's right. And all of these will kind of generally be with like the Russkies theme for today. Okay.
Do it.
Warm up round. Real or fake? It is the dawn of World War III in the West Mountains of America. A group of teenagers band together to defend their town, their country, from invading Soviet forces.
Okay, that's real. Red Dawn.
There you go. All right.
Okay,
Simple. Simple.
Easy peasy.
All right. Now, I didn't give you the title, but I'll give you the title and the synopsis. You tell me if it's a real or fake movie.
Okay.
So, Red Star, an ex-Russian spy and an ex-CIA agent team up to stop a Chinese terrorist cell from destroying an international peace summit with a nuclear device.
That is a real movie.
That's a real movie. Can you tell an era, if you're so confident, what kind of era?
80s.
80s movie? Wrong! It is a fake movie.
That's a fake movie?
I completely made it up.
Dude,
now,
that's
in the
bullshit.
in the passage of time, I'm sure something like that. But I did a flow of consciousness.
Don't tell me the names of the movies because because I literally, when I was Googling Russian movies, this movie called Red Star came up. And
Really?
Yeah.
Wait,
And
really?
I think so. Oh, I'm sorry, it's called Red Scorpion.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Okay, all right.
Never mind. Then go ahead, read the movies. I'll
Okay.
just close this tab.
All right, the next one. I want to tell you the titles because they all have kind of a theme.
I got you.
And then I think you'll
They all have red in it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, the next one. Red Heat. A tough Russian policeman is forced to partner up with a cocky Chicago police detective when he is sent to Chicago to apprehend a Georgian drug lord who killed his partner and fled the country.
These are good.
Thank you.
Because it could totally be one. And I think you're going to throw me through a loop right now because I'm going to do the odds game, not the fact that I think it's a
okay.
real movie.
Okay.
Where I'm going to say it's a real movie.
You say it's a real movie?
No, actually, no, I'm saying it's a fake movie because you wanted to hit it with a real fake.
You're playing the odds. You're playing the
so it's a
numbers
fake
game.
movie.
You should have went with your gut, man. It's a real movie.
Really?
It's an Arnold
Okay.
Schwarzenegger movie.
Oh, no
Arnold
way.
Schwarzenegger and Jim Belushi, or James Belushi? Jim Belushi?
Jay Belushi.
Not the one who died, his brother. But yeah, it's a real movie. It's an 80s action movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a Russian.
Wow.
I'm
I'm surprised I didn't know that because I thought
Red
I knew quite a bit of Arnold movies.
Yeah,
All right,
that was the
Shane.
one where he was on his way up, kind of in between
Oh.
like Predator and Conan. Is kind of he did a lot of movies like that.
Like when he did, what's the movie where he's like a Greek god that came back?
Oh, Hercules in New York, where they didn't use his real voice; they used a dubbed over voice. I am Hercules. Yeah,
What?
Yeah,
Is
they
that his
didn't
first movie ever, right?
might have been his first acting role. Well, he did this other one called it was called like The Bandit or The Scoundrel, and it was real. It was like a cheesy western, like a joke western. Arnold the Scoundrel or the Bandit.
Keep it moving, guys.
The Bandit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Hercules in New York was the first
Hercules
Arnold
in
movie.
New York. Yeah. All right. Anyway, so it's a real movie, Red Heat. All right, next one. Red Sun. An American lawyer falls in love with her client, a Russian defector who claims to be in possession of top secret information and is in danger of being returned to the USSR.
That's a fake movie.
a
That would
fake
be
movie?
boring.
Be boring. It's fake because it would be boring. Well, you happen to be right. It is a fake movie.
Yeah.
I totally made it up.
Like, who cares about deportation anymore?
Have you ever seen White Nights?
No.
With Gregory Hines and Mikhail Baryshnikov. It was a movie that basically was an excuse to showcase their dancing talents.
Okay.
But,
Well, dancing is way cooler than deportation.
you
let me
should
say.
see White Nights. You might appreciate it, man.
Okay.
It's got some really good dancing. Okay, next one. The next one, Red Factor.
Red Factor.
An elite team of Russian Spetsnaz encounters a supernatural presence while investigating the disappearance of a high-ranking official in an isolated castle in Siberia.
That sounds real. That sounds
real?
like a real movie.
It is a fake movie.
Oh
and,
my
and thank
God.
you. And thank you, guys.
And thank you.
It's all in the wording because,
Yeah.
pitch lines, taglines, or whatever, they all have a certain setup. Anyway. All right, next one. Reds. A radical American journalist becomes involved with the communist revolution in Russia and hopes to bring a spirit of idealism to the United States.
Fake movie.
You sure?
No.
Final answer?
I hate the title. I think the title is terrible.
Reds?
For that type of like plot, you're gonna name it Reds.
Reds,
With
yeah.
something so impactful,
Yeah.
you're gonna name it Reds.
It's a real movie.
No way.
Stars Warren Beatty. Yeah, it was like an early '80s movie, which is really weird. Reds is what I think they called like commies back then, but like it's really weird because like I haven't seen the movie. I've just like read up on it, but like it's like totally like pro-communist. I think like they're both
probably
communists.
why I never heard of it.
Yeah, and like I don't know, it's kind of funny. Definitely a Hollywood movie.
Oh,
They've
sure.
always been about that kind of stuff. But you know what's funny? I actually skipped one because you already mentioned it. Red Scorpion, starring
really?
Dolph Lundgren. Where he's a Spetsnaz.
I don't know what it's
dude.
about, but if you read me the title, I'd be like,
Red Scorpion.
"That's a real movie."
It's a real movie.
I need that one. I need that one to get my odds back up.
Yeah. Well,
No,
it's
it's okay.
it's funny because I'm just happy that that I got to make a game, so I didn't even keep score. So
Okay.
you win in my book,
Thank you.
Cameron. Well, that's it.
That's it, man.
That's it, folks.
Okay, yeah, that was a hard one, dude.
Yeah.
That was a really hard one.
I like that.
People need to get better at naming their movies.
Yeah, they need to come up with better plots. You know,
Reds.
I really thought I was going to get you with the lawyer one. I worked really hard on that Red Sun because Red Sun was actually the name of a Superman was like an alternate reality thing. What if he had landed in the Soviet Union instead of in America, and he became
really?
like the Soviet hero, and stuff, and he basically takes over the world.
I see.
But
Perfect.
Red Sun is the name of that. Yeah. So, well, that's it, folks. That's all the time we got for today. We are so glad that you could join us. We hope you enjoyed the episode. New episodes drop every week, every Wednesday. We're working hard, and we'll get what's his name back in here, Chris. We'll get Chris back in here. Not back in here, but he's moving, and so but we'll get him. We'll keep him connected to the show. He's still
Absolutely.
He's
Chris is still around.
The
Do not fret.
powerhouse that he is. Yes,
he
we
is.
love him. But folks, if you want to get a hold of us, you can listen to us anywhere where you listen to Spotify, or anywhere on Spotify, or anywhere you listen to. Let me just try that again. If you want to listen to us, folks, you can listen to the podcast anywhere where podcasts are broadcast, or on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. Also on YouTube, we got Shift Fire. We also got more, lots of gameology stuff that's coming out all the time. If
New content coming at you hot and ready.
Hot and ready, baby. Leave a comment in the comment section. Leave us questions, ideas for new episodes. And if you want to get a hold of us, you can follow us on Instagram at pcfmpodcast, or send us an email, pcfmpodcast@gmail.com. We love to hear from you. If you want to hang out with me a little bit more, go over to twitch.tv/myhappyself, or on Instagram, myhappyself2, myhappyself, the number 2.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to support my streetwear brand, Kit God Apparel, you can find us on Instagram exactly like that, at Kit God Apparel, or on our website, www.kitgodapparel.com. New designs coming out this summer. Kind of took a little break from it just because life is crazy right now, but we're going to come back hard and heavy in the summertime with new dope for you. If you guys want to support the channel, buy me a coffee is always an option.
Buy me coffee.
Don't forget about that. Everything that you contribute to this podcast goes towards new equipment and goes right back into it to make it even better for your viewing pleasure. A big thank you to everybody that has donated thus far. We appreciate you. You are the base. You are strong. You are beautiful.
You are the
our
foundation.
strength.
You are the people. We do it all for the people, comrades. And,
Exactly.
with that, we will say, cue the music.
Cue music.